इन्नी सैटिस्फैक्शन दूजी तरफ है कि फॉरेन फिल्म्स विच मैनू बहुत सक्सेस मिली है, बहुत अवार्ड्स मिले ने, ते जे मैं इत्थे बहुत सक्सेसफुल हुंदा शायद मैं उत्थे जा नहीं पांदा। ते हर चीज़ अपना बैलेंस हुंदा है लाइफ विच। लेकिन बॉलीवुड दा की है कि आजकल बॉलीवुड दा ब्रांड बहुत ही मशहूर हो गया। हर लंडन दा टैक्सी ड्राइवर बॉलीवुड के बारे जानता है, हर इटैलियन हेयर ड्रेसर बॉलीवुड के बारे पूछता है। हम बॉलीवुड की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि वो अपने फिल्म की क्वालिटी वधान, जी चंगी होंदी ने बहुत चंगी होंदी ने, जी भैड़ी होंदी ने बहुत भैड़ी होंदी ने, लेकिन कम अज कम देयर मस्ट बी एन एवरेज ऑफ सर्टन गुड फिल्म्स दैट कम।
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਅਵਾਰਡਸ ਦੀ ਵੋਟਿੰਗ ਲਿਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਨਾ?
ਜੀ, ਆਈ ਐਮ ਅ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਆਫ ਦੀ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਆਫ ਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਪਿਕਚਰ ਆਰਟਸ ਐਂਡ ਸਾਇੰਸਸ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਲੋਕ ਆਸਕਰ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ।
ਜੀ ਜੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਗੇ ਵਰਲਡ ਸਿਨੇਮਾ ਨਾਲ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਜਿਉਂ ਜੀ ਐਂਟਰੀਜ਼ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਹੈ, ਆਰ ਦੇ ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਦ ਬੈਸਟ ਦੈਟ ਆਰ ਪਿਕਡ ਫਰਮ ਦ ਲੋਟ ਇਨ ਇੰਡੀਆ?
No, they are not. The entries picked from India are often wrong for two reasons. One is they may not be the best. Secondly, which is much more important, Oscar जितन ਲਈ सिर्फ चंगी पिक्चर बनाना काफी नहीं है।
अच्छा,
तुसी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜੂਰੀ ਹੈ ऑस्कर अकेडमी मैंबर्स
जी,
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਈਕੋਲੋਜੀ ਜਾਨਣਾ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ।
अच्छा,
ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਲਗਾਨ ਉਹਨੇ ਭੇਜੀ ਸੀ, वेरी गुड फिल्म, लेकिन ਉਹਦੇ सॉन्ग एंड डांस है, गाने है, ਜਿਹੜੇ ऑस्कर अकेडमी ਦੇ वोटिंग मैंबर्स ने बड़े कंजरवेटिव बंदे ने, वैसटर्न सिनेमा ओरिएंटेटेड है। जिथे तुसी सॉन्ग एंड डांस पिक्चर पाओगे उस पिक्चर का चांस नहीं है, चांस ही नहीं है।
अच्छा,
हम स्लम डॉग मिलियनेयर जीती, एक गाना सी जय हो, पर वो क्रेडिट एड दे क्रेडिट टाइटल ते आया सी, पिक्चर दे विचों नहीं आया सी। जे तुसी एक पिक्चर बनाओ जिदे सॉन्ग एंड डांस नहीं है, जिहड़ा पावरफुल ड्रामा है, पावरफुल ह्यूमन स्टोरी है, फिर जितने दे चांसेस है।
अच्छा,
इस तरह की पिक्चर इत्थे बनदियां ने, पर असी एंटर नहीं करते, क्योंकि असी या तो बिग नेम्स नूं भेजने हैं या जिदा ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस है उन्होंने भेजने हैं।
So a lot of lobbying goes on here.
Lobbying goes on here,
Not there.
there this is a very incorruptible process. करप्शन नहीं होती, क्योंकि जे किसी ने ट्राई भी की थी फौरन सारे नूं पता चल जाता है। बहुत छोटी इंडस्ट्री है।
अच्छा, ये पूरा जो एक्सपीरियंस रहा थोड़ा वर्ल्ड सिनेमा का, इस विच जो एक्टर इन यू उन्होंने केड़े पर्सपेक्टिव्स मिले हैं, केड़े कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स थोड़े च आए हैं? हाउ हैव यू रीडिफाइंड एक्टिंग?
I don't have a concept of acting. I see acting as a job. A boxer knows all the different punches there are.
Right.
He knows there's the uppercut, he knows there's the hook, etc. No boxer can tell you which punch he's going to use when in a fight. That depends on what happens in the fight. Similarly, there are people that have a school of acting. I'm a method actor. I have the Stanislavski system. I internalize everything. Everything comes inside to outside. I've looked at all these theories. I've studied in some of these schools. So what you do is, like a hunter going to hunt, you have a quiver full of arrows, different styles, different schools. Whatever works for that shot, you take out the best arrow and you use it.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Whatever works is my thing.
This whole life of being an actor and many other things, you know, what aspects of your being, you know, the person that you are today, are coming from there? What kind of life has this profession given you?
Those are big questions, big questions. Acting has given me a very, very interesting life. I could not have asked for more in terms of sheer variety of experience, the places that I've been taken to, the people I've worked with, situations I've found myself in. So as a journey, physically, it's been very interesting. As a mental journey, it's been very interesting, because don't forget that even when you're unemployed, you have time to explore parts of your life, say your spiritual side or your philosophical side, which other jobs don't give you the time to. अंदर से तो हम वही हैं और वही रहेंगे. But life's experiences create a certain cocoon around that. You refine certain things, you improve certain things, you grow certain things, you evolve as a person. I do believe the whole purpose of our existence is to evolve. And so, in those terms, acting has also been a very spiritual journey for me, not because of acting, but because of everything else that I've learnt along the way through acting. And we are all unique experiments in consciousness.
Yeah.
Each one of us is a unique experiment. No one wrote the book on anybody. We are, by nature, conditioned by society to think in certain ways, because in a larger sense that's important for a cohesive society. However, there is always a conflict between the individual in you that wants to do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
But never forget what Albert Camus said, that it is the rebels within society that make it dynamic.
When we, trace your graph, be it professional or personal, you've been, you've really played it up, explored and kind of played with your life. Has it taken an effort to keep yourself like that and not get conditioned?
Well, no one's completely free of conditioning. But the fact of the matter is that I've always been a little different.
Ji.
But also because I had remarkable parents. I talked about my father, who was a freedom fighter, communist, became a philosopher, teacher, healer. But then there was my mother,
Ji.
who was also a Gandhian, who was also part of the freedom struggle, who became a social worker, and then spent the last 15 years of her life
Buddhist.
as a Tibetan Buddhist nun.
Yeah.
So I was brought up by people that were revolutionaries. I got my strength from them when I saw that you can live life on your own terms. Each of us has to believe and follow what resonates inside, what feels, this feels true to me, based on an honest exploration.
Yeah. And, it's shown in your relationships, of course. You've gone through 3 marriages and relationships, outside of that, beyond that. What do you think you have been seeking? I mean, what do you understand of love and marriage and life on the whole?
I am the eternal optimist. I will never stop believing in love and the need for love and the beauty of love. When my first wife Pratima and I got together, I was working in advertising. She was a model, and she was a disco dancer. In fact, she set up Bombay's first disco.
Yeah.
Then, in the course of our marriage, through our interactions and meetings and cultural leanings, she discovered Odissi dance and went on to become one of India's leading Odissi dancers. I like to think that in some way I helped to empower her. Came from her, but I helped in some way. My other relationship, though not a marriage, was with Parveen Babi. That was a very difficult relationship because we all know now, it's not a secret anymore, that Parveen had certain mental issues. But I do believe I helped her deal with them to some extent during the time we were together. Eventually she made a career decision and came back to India, even though she'd left with me at the time of Sandokan. But it had its place. My American wife, Susan then, now Ishel, also discovered many spiritual aspects to her existence after meeting my father. He put her on a certain path that has led her to being one of the most knowledgeable people in the field of essential oils and healing techniques in America. Nikki, my third wife, who was an absolute bundle of joy and a very vivacious person, and she contributed to my life, I contributed to her life. In the end, her life was more in England and I wanted my life to be more in India. For 3-4 years we tried this long distance business. The only beneficiaries were the airline companies and the telephone companies. And when there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you realize you have to make a decision. And so we still remain friends. Essentially, all these are wonderful companions that have been in my life.
You've had tough patches also. For instance, you lost your son, very young, 25, Siddharth. How have you really kept yourself up and being so passionate about life even today?
Well, I had the tragedy of losing my son, Siddharth, to schizophrenia and suicide, even though he was one of the most brilliant students of Carnegie Mellon University. But then I have also the joy of having Pooja as my daughter, both children of Pratima from my first marriage. When you go through very painful experiences, as I'm sure any parent does who loses a child, you overcome certain things, but certain scars remain for life. but life must go on.
Yeah.
And we learn and we move on and hopefully give strength to others.
Kabir ji, have you ever thought that, what are we here for? And those basic questions,
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And what are we wanting to achieve?
Firstly, let's celebrate the fact that we are here.
Yeah.
It is such a miracle. Every life that exists on this planet is such a miracle. When you think of just the complexity of what goes into making a hand, forget our whole body. Secondly, evolving, seeing what we can do with what we have. But ultimately, the meaning of life is the meaning that you give to your life.
Has it been an easy, light journey? Do you think that you're happy about all the decisions you made?
No,
no. Regrets we
I have an enormous number of regrets. There are so many things I could have done better, should have done better, stupid mistakes I've made in relationships, in investments, in trusting people, in so many regrets. But that, that is part of your learning. And there's one very important lesson to learn. When you're felled by something, a death in the family, a tragedy to you, a huge financial loss, anything, don't minimize it. Allow
it to wash over you.
Yeah. Allow it. Allow the grief. Feel the grief. Go into the grief. Because unless you let it come through you, you will never get rid of it.
Yeah.
To revive yourself, you have to then pick up yourself and say, all right, I have mourned long enough, but that is not the whole purpose of existence. I must go on. I must find ways of renewing myself.
How do you renew yourself? I mean, where do you draw your strength from? I mean, you're not, a hardcore traditional believer, I can sense. So you won't turn to God, I mean, like that, but...
I won't turn to God because I don't believe in a personal God. I believe in the intelligence that underlies the universe. But is there someone who's watching me and saying, I must help Kabir today, I must punish Kabir tomorrow? No, I don't think so. Your strengths lie within you, not outside you. As the Buddha said, be a light unto ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. We really hope that you carry on living this passionately with as much vigor as you have,
Thank you so much, Balpreet.
Continue to be as handsome as you are.
Oh, bless you for saying
you
that.
You were voted one of the 4th most handsome man in just a few years back, I think.
Thank you for voting me handsome, but and I accept it and I love it. Who wouldn't be flattered? Every man wants to be handsome, sexy, successful, and I'm no different.
Yeah. Best of luck and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks so much, Balpreet.
Thanks
for the questions.
ਲੈ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਜੀ ਭਰ ਕੇ ਖੇਲਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਖੇਲ ਜਿੱਤ ਤੇ ਹਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਖੁੱਲ ਕੇ ਜੀਣ ਦੀ ਭੁੱਖ ਉਹਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੱਕਣ ਦੀ ਭੁੱਖ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਹਾਦਸੇ ਜਾਂ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਚੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚਮਕ ਕੇ ਉਭਰਨ ਦੀ ਆਸ ਇਹ ਆਸ ਕਬੀਰ ਬੇਦੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਆਸ਼ਾ ਹੈ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਬਿਟਵੀਨ ਅਸ